Indaba ziyanyukela xa kufutshane phambili, kuqale kube mnyama ngaphambi kokukhanya. Washo mama, ungalahli ithemba, usufikile, usufutshane, bambelela, yamezela mntana, ubomi bunzima kuzodlula, qinisela mntana, sukuma ungakhali kuzolunga. Umama undiphile, 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 umama undiphile, undiphile, ithemba ngothando. Abantu babukela inhlupheko yakho, bathethe bekuhleba, wabanavelo. Washo mama, ungalahli ithemba, usufikile, usufutshane, bamelela, yamezela mntana, ubomi bunzima kuzodlula, qinisela mntana, sukuma ungakhali kuzolunga. Umama undiphile, 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 umama undiphile, undiphile, ithemba labo. Yamezela mntana, ubomi bunzima kuzodlula, qinisela mntana, sukuma ungakhali kuzolunga. Umama undiphile, 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 umama undiphile, undiphile, ithemba ngothando. Indaba ziyanyukela xa kufutshane phambili, kuqale kube mnyama ngaphambi kokukhanya. Ngiyabonga mama, ngeke ngilahle ithemba, sengikhulile, ungiqinisile, ngizobambelela. Yamezela mntana, ubomi bunzima kuzodlula, qinisela mntana, sukuma ungakhali kuzolunga. Umama undiphile, undiphile, undiphile,
today, to celebrate Autism Month, since April is Autism Awareness Month, we have the lovely Elsie Hanyane, who's going to be telling us a little bit more about autism and her journey with it, and her son, Lwazi. Hey, Elsie.
Hi, Nkosi, how are you? Can I
I'm
call you that, or am I
awesome.
supposed to call you Bean? I'm
No,
just
you
like,
can call me Nkosi.
ooh.
It's fine. No, Nkosi is fine.
Okay.
How are you? How are you doing?
Good, we're good. Enjoying a long weekend on this side of the world. So it's great. It's
Yeah.
always great to have a Monday where we don't have to work.
Mm.
Can't complain.
Okay, so we're here to talk about autism today.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that don't know, can you maybe just tell us just a short description of what autism is?
Okay, so I'm just gonna give you the layman's terminology. I'm not a medical professional, although I do think that autism is probably got its own DSM-5 diagnosis. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you. I'm just gonna say autism is diagnosed as a neurological condition. It is on
Mm.
a spectrum of, I think, extremely mild to extremely severe, and there's all these other diagnosis in between,
Mm.
and I don't want to call it a disease. I would say it's a condition
Condition,
that
yeah.
affects behavior mainly. I mean, that is how it mainly shows up, and so
Mm.
that is how it's used, like that's how it's diagnosed. But under the surface, there's also a lot of other things that affect that behavior, like
Mm.
how your body kind of gets rid of waste, how your digestive system works, how you interact with your environment in terms of your seven senses. I always thought we had five, things like
Mm.
that. So basically, that would be a layman's parent's terminology in terms of defining autism.
Yeah. No, you really defined it in a way that paints a picture. Yeah. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Loazi so that we get to know you guys?
Yeah, wasn't I just an ordinary mom and an ordinary son? I am, I'm 35 years old. I had Luazi when I was 25, so he's 10 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I work a normal job. I'm in IT. I'm a Scrum Master. That's me, my everyday. Most of all, I think I'm a mother to Loazi.
Yeah.
Loazi, as I said, is 10 years old. He was diagnosed as being on the autistic spectrum at 3.5. So autism has been a reality for us, I think, formally for about 6.5 years. He's very energetic. He's got
Mm.
big, beautiful eyes. He sings like an angel, and he's very tall. He's growing.
Aw.
I'm 1.64 centimeters, and
Yeah.
he's at my shoulder. So he's quite tall.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So, what made you start to suspect that your son might be on the autism spectrum or have something else going on at that time?
So actually, I didn't actually at all suspect that Lwazi was on the autistic spectrum,
Mm.
because he didn't show any real signs of developmental delays. At all his clinic visits, he was at or up ahead of his milestones,
Yeah.
except one, which was pointing. So he didn't point at all. That's the only thing. But he spoke. I just didn't realize that he wasn't speaking socially. He spoke in full sentences, but only because he wanted things, not like to socialize or share experiences, and
Yeah.
pointing. So those were the only two red flags. But at that point, everything else was going quite well. Only when he started play school, or what we call creche aside, he went to an
Mm.
educare, and then the teachers alerted me that he was very different. He um, was very isolated and very much to himself. The sounds, the sights, and everything caused him a lot of anxiety. And they thought that there was something different about him, and I need to get it checked out. So
Mm.
initially, I was just like, well, he's a slow adopter, so give him some time. And also, he had been through some trauma, and so I was
Yeah.
like, just let him be for a bit. Let's see if he doesn't adjust, and then if he doesn't adjust, then I'll have him looked at. So 6 months later, he was still really struggling in class and everything. And then that's when I went to an educational psychologist. Okay. So the educational psychologist kind of did a test. I should have probably looked up the name of the test. I forgot. And
Yeah.
she really struggled to actually um, like kind of get him to engage. So she went to observe him at school, and then she came back and she was like, "Yeah, I definitely think we either sitting with a very strong ADHD or autism." Then she referred us to a new pediatric neurologist, who then confirmed the diagnosis of autism. So that's really how autism began to exist in my world. But I
Yeah.
really didn't at any point before that even suspect. So it really came as kind of a huge shock to me. It was
Yeah.
huge. It was a huge shock. Yeah.
I can imagine, because before being told that diagnosis, you felt like everything was okay, like you were relating with your son, everything was okay.
Yeah, well, look, there were some things that were different about him, but he was my first child. And so I didn't really have a reference point. And I was the first in my kind of friendship group to also have a child. So I
Yeah.
didn't really have a comparison point either. So yeah, like he now looking back, I see that he had sensory issues, but nothing really to make me think something was
Something
wrong.
is wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that the trained professionals have done for Lwazi to help him get to this point where he is now? Because I think after 6.5 years, you're now the experts of this.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I'd say I know a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's actually been a combination of like, yeah, I definitely think specialists have a place in the journey of autism, and they provide a lot of invaluable advice, like really great advice and viewpoints. But I think definitely my greatest resource has been other parents. I think my greatest breakthroughs with Lwazi have not necessarily come from recommendations from per se the educational psychologist or the neurologist, but really understanding other parents' journeys and how they got breakthroughs with their children. That's actually, to be honest, has been my biggest source of him getting what we call in this neurodiverse world is gains, speech gains, social gains, academic gains. So that autistic adults also. So I'm on a group called Ask Me I'm Autistic, and there's a lot of autistic adults who help me understand my son. Speech is still an issue for us, so often he'll do things and I'm not quite sure what he's trying to communicate, because autistic people communicate, they just don't always use speech. And I can't always understand what he's saying, and because they have, a lot of them have very developed speech, they're able to like point to different things that my son could be trying to communicate to me. And so they've also been like an amazing source of breakthrough. And of course my son himself, so like kind of now understanding what he's trying to communicate, what he's saying or not saying. And then as I said, yes, professionals quote unquote definitely play their part, but more as a reference point. I think my biggest thing is actually because I know my child now, I feel that my work with professionals is a lot more we partner together instead of competing, and it's become like a lot more effective. So there's a lot of things that Lwazi, I could say, has gained. So unfortunately what happened with him is once he actually got diagnosed, he started to lose a lot of skill. So it's not that his skill just stopped like at 3.5. He started to regress. So he lost some speech. He lost his pincer grip, which is how you hold a pencil. He already had one at 3.5. A lot of social interaction. So he used to make eye contact, to be very excited when he saw me. He tried to greet me. He lost a lot of that. And there were also some health issues. So initially it was really about just trying to get him back to where he was. So
Where he
you're
was
working
before.
with like a 5 or a 6-year-old to try to get them back to being a 3.5-year-old, which is very challenging.
Yeah.
And then from there, building skill, but more at his speed, which I think has also been like, it's been different for me. I've had to learn that I'm not in a race, and he has his own
Yeah.
speed. So now he speaks. I mean, when I come into the house, he'll say hello, how are you, which is great, like, because I didn't think I'd ever hear that again, ever.
Yeah.
He does. When I'm leaving, he will like seek to be acknowledged. He has started making friends, which is very huge for us, initiating play with other kids. The newest thing is recognizing words, which is super exciting because I didn't know, like, that, yeah, a lot of at diagnosis time I was told that he wasn't really gonna have any scholastic skills, or the chances of him having scholastic skills would be very low. So I'm very like excited. Like last week he recognized his first full word, so very excited about that. We're still
Yeah.
working on writing, but he recognizes letters, which is great. He can count. His gross motor skills are amazing. We're still working on his fine motor skills. Yeah, he picks up on social cues. He laughs when things are funny, which is a really amazing skill,
Yeah.
because I've heard a lot of autistic people say they struggle with that. So yeah, he is slowly picking up those skills, and his health issues are now, they've really they're almost a thing of the past. So yeah, a lot has happened, and he's really grown.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
And in your experience, what's the one biggest misunderstanding or misconception that people have about autistic kids or kids with special needs? And how can we educate people to misconception?
So definitely, I think that people think that once you've met one autistic person, you've met all autistic people. But autism is really a spectrum, and it shows up differently in everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing, to really be open-minded. I sometimes feel, and this is quite controversial to say, I feel like it's sometimes used as an umbrella term for a whole lot of behaviors.
Yeah.
And they're very different. Like literally, I know a few parents at my son's former school, and how their kids behave is so different from how my son behaved. There are similarities, like stimming, which is something that autistic people do to calm themselves down. And again, different people do different things. So some flap their hands. My son hardly flaps his hands, but he will do other things with his fingers to stim. And so besides stimming, they would be completely different neurodiverse behavior. So for me, it's just a challenge for people to remember that when you've met one autistic person, you've literally just met one autistic person.
Not to generalize,
Yes, and to actually be really open-minded. Another thing is, as I said, people really assume incompetence with autistic people. And I've heard it a lot in the adult community, like this cry to just please assume competence. There's actually a lot that autistic people can do, but it's kind of being open to it, and maybe it takes them a bit longer to do, or you have to show them a different way. But a lot of them can do, and a lot of them actually want to communicate, but they just don't always use speech. So that's also another thing, being open to a person's way of communicating or relaying information to you.
Like, not to always, if they can't express themselves in speech, at least to look out for body language and other.
Yes. I mean, we already know that, I don't know, what do they say, like 60 or 80% of what people say is in their body language. The same is for autistic people. Like, just that maybe you won't have that 20% that will actually translate it for you. But if you think of them as just human beings, and look at what they're trying to tell you with their bodies, you can learn a lot.
And how has the whole COVID pandemic been for you guys? I mean, everyone is subjected to adapt, and there's home office and homeschool, distance learning. How has that been for Lwazi?
So there've been some upsides of the pandemic, and some downsides. I think initially I was like, because then he couldn't get a lot of his one-on-one therapy, which I worried about initially. So I was like, he's not gonna get behavioral therapy. He's not going to get music therapy. He was already not going to get speech because he wasn't going to go to school. And then what was going to happen to OT? So that's occupational therapy. So those were his
Yeah.
four-based therapies. But there were like some upsides that came out of it. So from Loazi not going to school, what actually happened indirectly is that his anxiety levels came down a lot. I didn't actually realize how much the school situation, even though he goes to special school, small classes, all of that was anxiety causing. So
It was a
him
lot for him.
yes, and him being at home, I mean, home is a environment that he knows, and it's an environment where he can regulate himself much easier than a school environment
Yeah.
because there's so much of unknown and change in the school environment. So, with the anxiety coming down, his speech started to really do well. So he started to talk more. So a lot of the gains that I've discussed only just came about during the COVID time.
Yeah.
Like literally, like just during COVID, he started to pick up on a lot more social nuances. Also learning one-on-one. Yeah, it's actually better for him. It's better for him. He's learning. So
Yeah.
as I said, like at his school, they really focused on life skills. They didn't focus on scholastic performance, which I understand. But since COVID, he's actually picked up on both. So his life skills are better, but so is he's actually got like school performance now. There's stuff he can do that he couldn't do before. Of course, it is quite stressful having to do the one-on-one, but I'm blessed that I have an amazing helper who just has a gift for this. So she does a lot of that. Thank goodness, because I'm not sure how I would cope. So she does a lot of it, and I do just like supervision and helping out. So for us, I think as a whole, COVID's really been a blessing for Lwazi because he's really just got to be at home and he's enjoyed that. And an upside, I know each autistic child is different, but he loves the cloth mask because he's so sensory speaking. So like his body wants to feel tight things around him. And so he loves having his mask on. And I've actually found that he's actually helped him to be less sensory seeking because he loves to just put on his mask and it actually just like helps him calm down.
Yeah.
So that just been like an upside. Of course, now with things, well, this new normal, quote unquote, there are some of the therapies that he started to like integrate again, but the majority of the work is done at home, and I definitely think he is a happier and much more well-rounded and developed child at home. So it's been good actually. There's been a lot of good things that have
It was a
come out.
blessing in disguise.
A big blessing for us.
Yeah, it's nice to hear a positive story about COVID.
Yeah.
So what before we leave, what advice do you have for everyone who's listening on being aware about autism and just to other parents on coping with autism, and any small tips that you've maybe discovered on your journey that you want to share?
Yeah, so I can definitely tell you that being a parent of an autistic child when you are neurotypical, which is like what most people call normal, but actually neurotypical is the more aware word, is that it's very challenging, and that a lot of times we actually feel very alone and isolated because our children are different. And so like making that extra effort to have inclusive environments where our children are welcome. I know it's not always easy, but I do think it's important because right now, like 1 in 60 children on average in the world is being diagnosed with autism. So it's a life skill that both sides need in order to engage with each other. So I think inclusion is huge. Like it's really, it's hard to feel isolated because your child is different. So yeah, we want to be included, and so I think that's really, really important. And also just I would say think about autistic people as people. I think that's the biggest thing, that a lot of people they don't have an understanding, and so it's easy for us to dismiss what we don't understand. But lean in closer. If you see a child that's behaving differently, find out more. Like most of the time, the parents are actually quite open to telling you, oh, my child's autistic, or they're behaving differently because of this. And also inform your children, so that they know when they're dealing with that with the different child. I mean, I do it myself. I take it upon myself. If a child asks, why is your son acting differently, or why, and then I explain. But I mean, sometimes like parents can be helpful. So that's probably what I would say, and probably to to autistic parents, because my advice to them would be to let their child be their teacher and let their child lead. Because I think we live in a neurodiverse society, so all our points of reference are around neurodiversity and all these standards that are put up around how neurodiverse people should behave. But when you've got a child that fits a different mold, then I think you can let those standards rest, and you can have more realistic standards that ensure that your child blossoms. And in that way, I mean, there are lots of things that autistic kids can do, I'll say, better than neurotypical kids, and lots of things they do worse. And you need to, like, I think as a parent, it's important to be able to tap into your child's strengths, and that's only really when you reset what the standard is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I hope I make sense. I spoke a lot, but that's kind of what my biggest insights from my journey. And ask other parents, like make other parents like your reference point. I mean, I'm part of an autism support group, but also I'm part of, like, for emotional support, and then I'm part of another one for medical support, and I'm part of another one for schooling. Like
different groups with different information.
Yes. And I've learned so much from other people's journeys, biomedical research, ways of teaching, like just so much, integrative medicine, like a lot from just like parents. And do your own research also as a parent. Do your own research. That's true.
Yeah. And I like the point where you said teach your kids, because then I think kids in school are so mean, and if kids also understand why someone is acting a different way, they can also learn from a young age how to read body language. And it's valuable when they're now adults as well, because when they meet such people, they know, okay, I'm not gonna necessarily expect speech, but let me read the body and understand what this person is trying to say to me.
Exactly.
Elsie, thank you so much for being with us today.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for the platform to share the little bit that I know about autism.
No, we really appreciate it. And happy Autism Awareness Month to you and Lwazi. And please send Lwazi our love.
I will. I'll definitely do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that very informative chat that I just had with Elsie on all things autism awareness. The track at the beginning is Mtanam by DJ Mix featuring Cassandra. And I'm leaving you guys with a quote that says, "Non-verbal doesn't mean I have nothing to say. It means you just have to listen to me with more than just your ears." Next up is Ndozwandiri by Tammy Moyo. Stay blessed. Have a lovely weekend. From your being with the biggest love.
Taifa mane masango tichizonga era El mesotapo walking in Tichitenera in the same place Chilling with people with two-faced Letting them take over my space Letting them run over my race Mono is telling you what to do and who you are So you tell them straight on Mama raised me right now Otherwise none Do Jandiri Right now You're beautiful Baby, yeah, right now Wakana kaiwe
Okay Waka benga waka daru Trust me, nobody can take your place. You're a gift straight from God that's created to blow. And the pandas are that quick. they know that power you have for you. They try to break you so that you just lose. Devils are liars, just dash on them skirt. You know that you can't be anything. You can live your dreams and fantasy. No, how shit's easy, but you shouldn't give it until you have everything. I am a living testimony. I used to think I'm disagree. Nobody can love you if you don't love yourself. So tell them no shandiri. Yeah. Right up now. Right up now. Ingotenda Jesu nyango zvichibaya sezvifiso gara uri straight kunge chinyoreso kana uri black usazobleacha kuchinja kuita munhu wefake nekuti newe tingaikita network saka ndinosimbisa handimbotipisa kune mabhebhi ndaakumbira musazvitengesa nekuti mangwana ndimnotisekesa saka ndavaudza kuti imi musazopfekesa saka ndati saka ndichiimba kumarasa vanogona kuzoplasa usanyara muchinjikwa kana uri pasta nekuti mamepo akauya
Point of disaster, baby no.